The Beatles' lineup was defined from the beginning by the members, who accepted their individual limitations and brought in players who could compensate for them. When Stuart Sutcliffe left the group in July 1961 to continue his art studies, it fell to Paul McCartney to take over bass guitar duties. But perhaps most crucial to that decision was McCartney's ill-fated attempt at a guitar solo on his first gig with Lennon. It not only put him off playing lead guitar, it also led directly to George Harrison being hired as the group's lead guitar. And it all happened one fateful night in January 1958. It's not that McCartney lacked the talent to grow into the role. One of John Lennon's first observations when he met his future bandmate on July 6, 1957, was his skill as a guitarist. McCartney showed his strengths by spontaneously performing Eddie Cochran's 20 Flight Rock for Lennon and his group, the Quarrymen, nailing both the lyrics and, more importantly, its twanging electric guitar riff. It was precisely why Lennon invited him to join the Quarrymen in 1957. McCartney's big solo was a piece called Guitar Boogie by Arthur Smith and his Crackerjacks. Smith wrote and recorded Guitar Boogie in 1945, and the song went on to sell 3 million copies, earning him a gold disc at the time and making him famous as Arthur Guitar Boogie Smith. The song was so popular that, the year after the Quarrymen were performing it, a U.S. group called The Virtues worked up a rock and roll version that became an international hit. As McCartney explained in the Beatles anthology book, the song and its solo were well within his adolescent grasp. He recalled, "I could play it easily in rehearsal. So they elected that I should do it as my solo. Things were going fine, but when the moment came in the performance, I got sticky fingers. I thought, what am I doing here?"
Going back to those days, I mean, you met George first of all, didn't you? And then,
George went to the same school, yeah.
And then there's this historical meeting almost now in the sense of the history of music with John. Tell me about that meeting. That first encounter.
We had a friend in common who went to school with us. Went to school with me and George. He was called Ivan Vaughan. And he used to be in one of the little skiffle groups that John was in. He used to jive with Ive, the ace on the bass. And he used to have one of those tea chest basses, you know, it's a bit of string on a broom handle on a tea chest. And so he said, "You should come along to this thing, you know, this group's playing and my mate John's in it, you know, Woolton Village Fete." He said, "You should come along." So I did. Me and Ivan were born on exactly the same day, so we were good mates. We went along and just saw this group on a little stage there. And the singer, who was John, just looked like he had something, you know.
Did you audition?
Well, what happened was they did their first thing and then they had a break and then they were due to do the evening thing. So the break was an opportunity for the band to get drunk, really. And so John he'd had a few beers when I sort of finally said hello to him. But